All right, I just, something short to help you all. We already know there's like progressions in training. One has to allow for the difference between when one is talking about what is the ideal and then what is the actual learning curves you're dealing with, okay? And I think anybody who understands any kind of training knows that there's a difference. Okay? There is where we should be and then the reality of where we are. Okay? And they don't contradict each other. They're just different perspectives. So I want to give you something short and sweet because some of you are too ill to ever get to the ideal. And so you need some helpful things to maybe one day you have a breakthrough. Okay? There's too much tension, there's too much stress, there's too much what I call agitation. And my definition of agitation is your body-mind is being forced to function within an environment that is overriding its capacity. Okay. So in everyday speak, that would include anxiety, depression, that would include digestive problems, immune disorders, fucked up relationships, all that kind of stuff. You're just not well. You're suffering, sometimes very severely. You're suicidal. Sometimes you just got a stomach ache and diarrhea. Okay? Maybe some hair is falling out in the shower. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Okay? Maybe you're lonely. Okay? That's all at what I call agitation or over-agitation. So something to help you with that, because training at the ideal level is going to assume that you're not over-agitated. You just can't do it. It's not possible. But as a learning curve, we come to training with agitation. Okay? It's no different than training requires a certain level of mobility and a certain level of strength. So we're going to have to lift weights because you're a weak stiffy, right? We have to do that. We have to, in a way, prepare ourselves to one day train. And the biggest mistake is we don't think we have to. We think we're training because we're lifting weights. We're not. You're weak. That's why we're lifting weights. Like in the techniques we did today, there's a certain level of suppleness and a certain level of strength that's just assumed even in the reconciliation of yin and yang. You have to have a certain level of strength. And some of you don't have it, and there's no way you're going to pick this person up. To balance them on your chest, there's just no way. So we have to do things to get you there. Well, the same way spiritually. To reconcile the ego tripartite mind, we have to be in a certain achieved level of spirituality to get there. And it cannot entail agitation. Agitation, like muscle weakness, we're going to have to work on that first. So this is where we're going now, okay? I'll remind you, though, that this is, at best, a salve, some sort of tonic or something you put on a wound and try to, in a way, make sure you don't fucking kill yourself when it gets that far. Make sure you don't have an irreversible health condition because you took it that far. Do you see? In those senses, a salve is pretty important. But it is nothing but that. Meaning, you fucked up. Here's something, hopefully, you can unfuck this before it's irreversible. Get it? It's important. It's like I tell the recruits in law enforcement, you fucked up in your patrol strategy. That's why you're having to do this. Here's something that'll work. And even as I tell them that, I told them this. I said, I'll get myself out of it, but in my head, I'm telling myself, you fucking have this coming because you fucked up. So as you have a salve, I don't want you to think of it as a cure-all, because moderns think of medicines as cure-alls when they're not. They're just masking symptoms. Your body heals itself. You have to have a body that can heal. You take an aspirin, it'll cut the edge off of the headache, or an Advil, do you see, of the headache, but you having to keep taking them, you keep having headaches, something is fucked up with you, and you need to fix that. You can't go, I have Advil, so I don't have to fix what's fucked up with me. That's not true. So I'm hesitant, and why, it's those that have been here, it's been decades you've been here. I haven't shown you this stuff. I've shown you the other stuff, how to unfuck yourself. But the problem is, as a teacher, decades have gone by and you haven't learned how to unfuck yourself. That's decades of agitation. That's going to be hard to reverse now. And then we have people, though, in the Patreon community, they haven't done any of the base work. They've already lived for decades with agitation. They need a salve too. Okay? That's what this is. Don't make it a cure-all. It's like crisis management. Like break glass in case of emergency. You should be doing the bedrock practices and the 4 disciplines so you don't ever need this. And it is contained within all of your Aikido. So just coming to the dojo, obeying the bedrock practice of those 4 to 6 hours per day, you're doing it, so you shouldn't have it, but we don't do that, do we? So we have to touch base on those bedrock practices. We have to touch base on the 4 disciplines, and you have to stop ignoring them. Because eventually, just like you lived an effed up enough life, now you have migraines, and there's every medication is not working. And even if it is working, you're still laying in bed all night and with the rest of your life going to shit. Is that working? I don't think so. Let me explain the cosmology / energetics of what is going on in agitation. At the east end of the Silk Road, there's very much a yin-yang theory at things, especially later in history. But as you go back, it's very similar to the West End. And the West End, and older in history on the East End, is basically you are in opposition to God. You are resisting God. And on the West End, the conventional wisdom is one cannot resist the will of God. In the old East End, heaven has a will. Heaven is equivalent to the God concept. And there is a heaven's way. And woe to he or she who fucks up with that way. Same exact thing. You go more recent, but we're talking centuries ago. Basically, heaven's will, God's will, heaven chi, that is blocked, is not doing or allowed to do what it needs to do or what it is to do, is now toxic. Energetically, what happens to our body mind is our misapplying of the 4 disciplines and our ignoring of the bedrock practices. We create blockage in our body that starts to accumulate heaven chi in the top part of our body mind. So eventually, and these are ancient systems of the body. So even, for example, if my heart is in my upper thoracic cavity, your heart is connected to your kidney system as part of that. And so you have to expand what I mean by your upper body. It's not so upper, okay? But this is how you will get eventually your autoimmune disorders, which nobody's recognizing anymore. It's hard to find someone that doesn't have an autoimmune disorder nowadays, or a digestive disorder of one kind or another. Okay, it's like normal. In the same way as we see anxiety and depression is like, it's hard to find someone like that doesn't have it nowadays, okay? And it gets worse and worse, okay? Because our not doing the 4 disciplines, not doing the bedrock practices, we create these yin blockages in our body, and the heaven chi is now blocked and it becomes toxic. So you have to live a way that does not block the heaven chi, and it can do what it needs to do. What is that? Descend. Okay. It must descend. It cannot stay still. It must descend, and it must convert. It is the order of it. So the thunder god must kiss the Mother Earth in mythological terms. And you're keeping them apart. And now he's pissed. So we're going to do some stuff that you should try to do whenever you feel agitated. And I gave you the symptomology for that, okay? Your scatterbrain too is in there. Your memory issues, your vision, all kinds of stuff, okay? Your mobility, your suppleness, your triggerability, all that is all this, okay? All right, so we have to bring down this yang qi. We have to, in a way, as an analogy, you have to break the dam you have so that it can flow, the water can flow. Okay? All right, so let's stand up. And as I said, you do this in every single Aikido technique. It's just what you do, okay? So in the first class, and then there was a class you had to have done it to get the guy up to your chest. There's just absolutely no way. As you can see, we had people that had no chance of getting that person up to the chest versus those that could get that mass up to the chest. It was effortless, right? It was effortless, but to others seemed impossible. Okay. All right, so basically you start with the standing drill of the Aiki and Kokyu set. Okay? So get your feet under your hips, shift your weight to your midfoot, vector on the midfoot. Okay? And first you have to release the tension. Now, some can't do this standing. They just can't. And so we have the laying down corpse pose. But that is just a drill that you can release muscle tension on, that it does not work as well for allowing the heaven aspect to lower. Do you get that? Because it lowers down your spine. It does not lower perpendicular to the earth. So when you're laying down, it's harder to allow for gravity and the natural center of gravity to pull or tug on this heaven chi or this heaven aspect, okay? But you might, I'm just so tense. Okay, lay down and work on releasing muscle tension, okay? And that is assumed in this skill. So I start to drop. If we remember these drills, okay? I start scanning first for all my tension. As I'm doing this, I should feel my shoulders drop. I should feel my throat release. I should feel this sternum drop. Once I feel it drop, I'm going to start putting my shoulders, my elbows, and my hands at the midfoot. So I'm vectoring that weight of those things, okay? It's no different than his push that he's pushing here. I'm going to let it drop, okay? This is a yang aspect, you see? And I'm going to make it drop. All right, I am letting the gravitational pull of my mass is a yang aspect, and I am going to feel, as I felt his push on my midfoot vector, I'm going to feel the weight of my shoulders, my elbows, and my hands on the midfoot. That yang aspect is being midfoot vector, okay? As I get to there, I'm going to open Lao Gong. So I'm going to form that little cup in my palm. You should feel some charge along the middle finger, okay? Drop everything. You can close your eyes if you want. Feel my elbow, my shoulder weight, and my hands on that midfoot. And once I feel the weight of those things, I should start to feel like thickness, thick air around my hands, tingly, a charge like, okay? And I ignore that, and I keep releasing muscle tension all the way through my body. Never letting go of any of the elements that I just gave you. Okay, now because the chi follows the mudra, I'm going to use my hands, okay? And I'm going to repeat the repetitions of dropping it, of letting the heaven aspect descend through my body, okay? So I'm going to turn my hands up. And I'm going to bring the energy, the chi aspect up, inward spiral, down from the middle tanden, and I let it drop. Till I come back to weighting my feet, hands, my hands, elbow, and shoulders on my midfoot. Then I do it again. Outward spiral. Up. You should feel that Lao Gong get activated. The inward spiral. Middle tanden. Start to exhale now. Start to feel your weight of your shoulders, elbows, and hands on your feet. Let it settle. Okay? Now I add my raising of my whole center of gravity. So I come up, I straighten my knees, inhaling, exhaling, dropping my knees back to that Wuji stance. Exhaling, Inhaling up. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And you repeat it. And what you're doing is a rep of drop the chi. What you do right away, he grabs, I drop it. Okay? Right away, he grabs up high, whatever, same thing. You feel it? We're stuck on that same thing. Okay? My yang aspect, his yang aspect, boom, drops. As I ground vector, that's what happens, okay? And I have to learn how to drop the chi aspects, not just my weight. But in the beginning, we tell you ground vector, bend your knees, lower your center, right? Well, we're now using those to help us get things to go down. Got it? Get things to go down. So, if you're doing your bedrock practices, you should do that, especially if you've been blocking chi because you're not doing your bedrock practices or you're not doing your 4 disciplines, or like you go, okay, I'm gonna start bringing in meditation or prayer into my daily life. You probably should do this before you should not just drop down on the cushion or drop down on your knees. It's not gonna work, okay? So you have to first get this stuff down. Or you've been living in the world the whole time and you come to the dojo, yeah, you're gonna get effed up in here. So you should probably do this exercise as you find a corner somewhere and do it so you're ready to train, okay? Definitely on Saturday when we have Zazen, I wouldn't get on that cushion without doing this, okay? For some reason you guys just blow Friday or whatever, or you blew Monday through Friday, and you're just wrecked by Saturday, okay? You could do this. If you're out there and you're working on your list too stiff, and you think you're gonna stretch your way out of it, I would say no. You're gonna have to address the mind aspects of that stiffness, and this is how you address the mind aspect of that stiffness. So you should be doing this drill. I'm not gonna sit here and film me doing this stuff. That's not really important, and it's boring as hell. But the mechanics are there, okay? How long should you do it for? You should do it till you can feel that, I don't have that agitation anymore, okay? You're like, if you're doing it right, it doesn't take long. As I said, you won't need to do that salve because you come to the dojo every day, and every day you drop the heaven aspect every single time this person touches you in that immediacy. So there's no reason to do this for forever unless we're agitated because we're not doing the 4 disciplines and the bedrock practices, okay? Got it? And sometimes it happens. Okay? Any questions from those that are here?